Hello, in this episode I will reveal a secret on black and white photography, but please tell no one. Bonjour mesdames et messieurs and welcome to episode 35 of my Photography Lightroom and Photoshop tips. My name is Serge Ramelli, I'm a French photographer living in Paris, France. And last week I showed you again some digital blending. We took these 3 exposures from a beautiful sunset in the Seine, and using layers and masks we got this result. Digital blending is the most powerful workflow I have seen to date when taking very contrasty scenes, so I invite you to check it out. You will find the link in the description of this video. This week I'm going to reveal you a secret on black and white. No kidding, I have been studying black and white for a very long time because I find some photos on the web which are amazing, like from Jean-Michel Berthe, a French photographer who is being my master, Jedi in photography. I love his black and white. There is something about his black and white that I love. Also some of Ansel Adams and some other big names on the web. And there was something wrong I was doing on my black and whites. And I think I found what I was doing wrong, and I will show this to you in this tutorial right now. Come and join me.
Bonjour mesdames et messieurs. So today we're going to talk about contrast and drama. This is a photo taken in a city close to Paris. It's, as you can see, it looks like a Mad Max movie. And I was shooting this as I'm going to shoot a movie scene, and there's going to be like a whole fight. It's going to be around there. And I love the place because, I mean, it's totally, broken down and graffiti everywhere. But I think it makes interesting drama. And also, I want to show you a little trick about black and white and some philosophy about contrast and black and white. So first off, I'm going to retouch this photo in colors is if I would usually do it. So you know my workflow. I open up the shadows, I get the highlights to go down, then I press the Option key, press on the white, and I go to the right until I see some points. Just about here, and then I go to the left with the blacks. Okay, so now we've got some good, better tones. The histogram, if you look at it now, is more spread. The information are more in the center. Now I usually would just add some contrast. I don't like the tilt of the photo, so I would, I do, my usual stuff. I would do some sharpening, like around 80. Press the Option key on the masking just to get the masking down. So as you know, on the masking on the sharpening, anything which is white is going to get sharpened, and anything which is black is not going to get sharpened. And I'm not interested by getting the sky sharpened. So that's why that's good about the blacks. And of course, on this type of photo, I would boost the clarity and make it a very dramatic photo. I don't think I'm going to leave the white balance as it is. I like how it is. I'm just going to go into into lens profile and enable the profile correction and colors, remove chromatic aberration. And I would go into manual, and I think I'm going to rotate a little bit the photo to make it straight. Yeah, because it's not very straight. And I would click on Constraints Cropped. Okay, and I would add some post-crop vignetting. So we get some like nice drama. Let me show you the before and after. The before and after, this is how it was before, okay, and how it is after. Now, so far, if you have been following my podcast, you won't learn much because this is my workflow. That's what I do on almost every photo. I like this type of drama. And that's not what I want to really show you. What I want to show you is how we're going to 2 ways to make this photo black and white. And first thing I'm going to do is create a virtual copy. Now, usually what I would do to make a photo like this black and white, because I think it can work in black and white, I would just click on black and white, and I would boost even more the contrast, something like that. And I'm done. I would even probably do a bit more of post-crop vignetting, and I've got my black and white. Okay, maybe get the whites to go even higher up, like a very contrasty black and white. I mean, I like it, don't get me wrong, but I think we can do better than that. And so for this, I'm going to right click again and make a third virtual copy. And I'm going to reset everything. And I'm going to start, no, I'm not going to reset. Command Z, I'm just gonna, oh yeah, I am going to just reset. I'm going to reset it. So, but what I'm going to do is, again, I'm going to take the first photo and take the last photo, and I'm going to synchronize, but not everything. What I want to synchronize, I'm going to say check none. I'm going to synchronize the white balance. I'm not going to synchronize the basic tone, but I'm interested in synchronizing the lens correction, because I did a lot of work on that, and the process version, that's important. Basically, that's it. So I'm just going to synchronize that. And so the photo is going to be, you know, lens corrected, but the contrast is not good. And what I'm going to do on this one is I'm going to open up the shadows and bring down the highlights. And I'm going to do my white and black point by pressing the option key here with the white and the black. So that's pretty much it. But on the blacks, I'm not going to go as far, and actually on the whites, I'm not going to go as far. Basically, I'm trying to get a photo which is not contrasty at all. So for that, I'm going to even get the contrast to go to the left. I get like a sort of a gray, you know, it's ugly, you know, it's not very nice. And then I click on black and white, and I get a very grayish photo. I mean, compared to this one, which is well contrasted, and this one, there's a major change. Now, why do I do that? Because I think that when you do black and white, like I have been doing for many years, which is just basically just to get some heavy contrast, what happens is that you lose information. You go basically from very dark to very white, you know, but there's no gradient. Now, I was very inspired. These days, I'm working with one of the best black and white photographers on the planet, and I really mean it. His name is Jean-Michel Bertz. You can see some of his work here. And this is some photos he took in New York, and I just love his work. I mean, it really gets me going. He's one of the top sellers of fine art in France. And one thing that he has about his black and white is that he's got a lot of details in the grays. You see, they are not too contrasty. You know, you've got some parts which are very black and some parts which are pretty much white, and there's a lot of grays. You know, it's not like mine, which is going from, you know, very contrasty. So how to do that is basically we take back this photo, which is just, you know, not very contrasty, and then we do our black and white, when we do our contrast, instead of doing it globally, we do it entirely locally. And for this, we take this brush, we make sure it's on exposure, minus exposure, and basically what I'm going to do, I'm going to zoom in, and I'm going to make sure this brush, I'm going to brush some blacks here and blacks there on the trees to make sure that they're really very dark. You know, the stone here. I mean, it takes a bit of time. I'm going to get the stone pretty dark, you know, this leaf there, dark, this dark, okay. And I'm just jumping in on the photo and making some parts of the photo dark. And it's good to zoom in at 100%. I'm going to make this, no, when I get to this, it's a bit too large. I'm going to go back up, but I'm going to create a new brush, maybe a bit less of exposure, and I'm just going to paint here a little bit, make this part here a bit black, this part here a bit black, this a bit black. I mean, it's a trial and error process, you know. This a bit black. Then I'm going to create a new brush. I advise you to create a lot of brushes so you can always go back. Okay, I'm going to make the top of the photo pretty black and the bottom of it also like a vignette effect, but a hand-painted vignette effect. Okay, and yeah, maybe add a bit more here, and here also. Okay, and then I'm going to create a new brush, but this time I'm going to go the opposite. I'm going to go white, and I'm going to add some white here, maybe a little bit, some white here, there, and there, some white here, there. And the whole idea is to get a black and white where there is a lot more details, a lot more going from very dark, going through different shades of gray to very white, instead of just, you know, black to white, you know. So it takes a lot of painting, you know, it takes a lot of, it's a very creative process. It's like painting on a photo, but you know what? That's what Ansel Adams used to do a lot in the past. And I know many artists from the 70s, they had a way to do it, but the end of it was, you know, brightening up this part, you know, making this part darker, and making sure that your black and white has got really a lot of information. That's the trick. Okay, I think I'm going to add a few more brushes black, maybe a bit here, make this a bit darker, make this wall a bit darker, this writing here a little bit darker. Okay, maybe this here and this here. And the bottom, maybe make this a little bit darker. Something like that, you know. And yeah, maybe a bit less. Okay, and that's the whole idea. Now, let's compare both of the photos, okay? This is just pure black and white. You know, it's very dramatic. It goes from black to white. And this is a lot more subtle, you know. And if you find that it's not enough, you know, you can add a bit of contrast. I can maybe get the contrast to go back to 0, you know, and brighten up a little bit, you know, and add a bit of clarity, maybe just a little bit, you know, to make it more subtle. But don't go too much because you're going to end up with this at the end. I mean, this is nice, but I don't know. I think this is more subtle, you know, it makes it, I'm maybe going to just add a bit of highlights, post-crop vignetting. And the problem is that I always go too far on the contrast. And I think you can try this also on colors, you know. You go from a color, you know, photo which is color, and it's not too contrasty, and you make the entire contrast with brushes instead of just using the contrast slider. It's a lot of work, you know. You see the contrast is at -2. I didn't use that. I just did everything with a brush. So I prefer that version. I think it's more subtle than this sort of like very black and white, like here we are type of black and white. Okay, and yeah, that's the basic idea. If you go to my website, photosearch.com/apps, you get all my training, every courses that you have, a lot of courses on Lightroom 4 and Photoshop CS6 or on basics of photography. Each course is $10, but you can also buy packages and you pay almost nothing. Like for example, you can buy all my training for $63 instead of $90, or all my Photoshop training for $35 instead of $50, or all the Lightroom training $21 instead of $30. And right now, what you can do is download the training. Very soon, there will be an option to stream the training. If you don't want to download the video, but you want to watch it right away, in a couple of days, this should be on because people have been asking me for that. Let me know if you think that's a good idea, that you can also see the training by streaming and not having to download everything first. Okay, so guys, thank you for watching this, and let's get back to the studio.
So I hope you liked that tutorial. I think it's a very interesting technique, and it does apply to color too. So I invite you to check it out and get this subtle tone range going. If you like this video, please like it and leave a little comment. You can also ask me questions on what you want me to do in tutorials or questions about photography, and I'll do my best to answer in the comment section or even do videos on it. It helps promote this podcast, and I thank you very much for this. Okay guys, I'll see you next week for another episode.